Hi there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Live with Leila. My name is Leila Singh, and I'm an executive career and personal brand coach. And I work with career professionals, typically in the technology industry, who are looking to overcome their limitations so that they can uncover their infinite potential and create new possibilities, all whilst showing up as the best version of themselves. And I'd like to welcome each and every one of you who's joining this live today or is catching it on the replay. So if you're here live, then do please say hello in the comments and let me know where you're joining from. And if you are watching on replay, then do hashtag replay in the comments. And again, let me know where you're joining in from. And today's topic, well, this has come up as a consequence of a conversation I was having with a client yesterday. And we were talking about showing up as your best self. Bear with me. I'm just checking that this is streaming okay to LinkedIn. Yep, that looks to be fine. And so, yeah, my client and I were talking about how for our customers and the energy with which we show up in the world, not just within our business or within our career, but also just day to day. And there is a saying which is fake it till you make it, and I do not buy into that. Why? Because for me, just the language around that just sounds out of integrity, because you're faking something. And actually, when you ask people, well, at what point will you stop faking it because you know you've made it? Very difficult to answer that question. So for me, the question then becomes, well, how can you show up as your best self all of the time? And this isn't to say that we are putting our head in the sand and pretending that everything is perfect, but ultimately it's about what we do and how we respond to the current situations or circumstances that we are in. So, what I mean by that is we can choose how we show up, whether that's in our own space when we're on our own, whether it's with our family and our friends, whether it's professionally in the workplace or within our business. And ultimately, why is this important? It's important because how we show up in the world, as I said, both personally and professionally, will have a direct consequence on the experiences that we have. It will have a direct influence on the way that people choose to respond to you. Now, a lot of this is at a subconscious level. We aren't always consciously thinking about how we're behaving and responding to people based on how they respond to us. But naturally, if you slow down for a second and check into how you behave around certain people and just ask yourself, well, why do you behave this way with this person and a different way with somebody else? And just explore that for a bit. You might start to notice that actually a part of the way that you show up with that person is a reflection of how they are showing up in the world. So, for example, it might be that they show up in a way they believe they're better than others, that they look down on people. And sometimes that can have the other person feeling that they're little, they're small, and then they show up in that way rather than standing in their own power and confidence. It could be that it's somebody who, let's say in the workplace, is a bit of a bully or looks to find reasons to put other people down or show them up. And therefore, you keep quiet, you don't speak up, you don't show up as your confident self because you're in fear of what that other person might do or say to try and bring you down. So you think, well, actually, it's easier to keep quiet. So these are simple little examples of how we choose to behave as a reflection of how other people are around us. And that's just natural human behavior. The interesting thing for you to be aware of is that when you show up as your best self, what that means is you get to create the best experiences and outcomes for you. So when we talk about showing up as your best self, what does this really mean? The way that we show up directly influences your day-to-day life. It influences the experiences that you have, the outcomes and the results that you get. And it ultimately creates your reality. And this is driven by your outlook on life, on life, on the world around you, your circumstances, the people that you interact with. It also is driven by your thoughts and your beliefs, as well as the language that you use. So all of these things play a direct role in your day-to-day experiences, and as a consequence, the outcomes that we have in anything that we do. And it's driven by our, as well as thoughts, beliefs, and your language, is also driven by your inner state, your energy. For example, you could come from a place of just being really low energy and like lethargic, apathy, just like going through life and bumbling along, or you could come from it from a place of enthusiasm, of passion about life, about what you do. And you know, we have the profiling of people who are introverts and people who are extroverts. So it's different behaviors. This isn't to say that an introvert should suddenly start to try to behave like an extrovert. No. What we're saying when we talk about showing up as your best self is bringing out the best in you, whether you are an introvert or an extrovert. But how can you show up as your best self? So you can still be an introvert and be someone who demonstrates enthusiasm and passion for life and for what you do. Or you could be an extrovert who also demonstrates it, but in a different way. So energetically, how are you showing up? I'll give you an example. Think about a situation where you've maybe engaged with somebody, an event or a networking event, for example, or at work, or just somebody in your wider family network or friends social circle. And there's that one person who really you almost look to avoid because they just feel like they bring your energy down. They make you feel like, oh, and you're like, oh, I don't want to talk to that person because I just come away feeling like really drained and really low. And that's what I mean by energy. It's like how you show up for yourself will also directly influence how you're showing up for other people, which means it impacts the experience you have when you're interacting with those other people. Let me know if this makes sense. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the comments. So when we talk about the meaning behind this, it's about showing up as the person that gets the best out of life. It's not about taking from anyone. It's not about being manipulative or being fake. It's simply about being the best you. And when we are our best self, whether we are introverted or extroverted or any other profile that we have, any other attributes that we have, taking the best of everything that we have, bringing that to the table will give us the best experience. It will give others a great experience of being around you, of engaging with you, of working with you, and also have people want to gravitate towards you. Which means, for example, if you're looking to elevate your career, get a new job, get a promotion, be recognized, guess what? If you're having people gravitate towards you, they're people who want to be around you, get to know you, be in your space. They're people who are going to recognize you, who are likely going to speak up for you, to advocate for you, to promote you, to offer you opportunities as well. So this is why I say this is a really important thing to understand and to learn and develop the skill that is to show up as your best self. And in the ideal world, we want to be able to be showing up as our best self all the time, from morning till night. And why do I say this? Because by being consistent means it makes the whole process easier, but it also means that you're constantly coming from a really positive place, a really positive energy. And when we're in a good energy, this is projected onto people and onto situations around us. Not only that, but it influences the way that we view the world. So whether we see it through a positive or a negative lens. So whether we see it through that things are great, life is good, there's opportunities, there's possibilities, life is fun, life is there to be enjoyed, or Do you look at it from a point of view or a lens of, oh, life is always hard, nothing ever works out for me, I'm stuck, nothing's going to be better for me, maybe almost like playing the role of victim of the woe is me scenario. And if that's how you get up in the morning and view the world, then guess what? That's the experience you're going to have. So even when there's opportunities, you'll miss them because you're looking through that negative lens. And it's important, therefore, to slow down and start to recognize the lens that you look at the world through, and be honest with yourself to say, well, okay, well, if this isn't working for me, if things aren't working out for me right now, what can I do differently? Is it that simply it's my perspective, it's my outlook, it's my thoughts and my beliefs that are creating this? Because remember this, we place meaning onto everything around us and onto people around us. So whether it's a circumstance, it's a situation, a person, we create that meaning ourselves in our own mind, and then we project it onto what's going on outside of us. Therefore, we have a choice to change that meaning. We can get to choose to look at things differently. So we can either look at life is hard or life is easy, life is fun or life is dull. You get to choose and you get to create every day. So thinking about your inner dialogue, your self-talk, how you're talking to yourself, whether that's about you or it's about what's occurring outside of you, is what's going to create the difference. So when I talk about showing up as your best self, and what does this mean? A big part of it starts from within. It starts from how you talk to yourself in your own mind about you, about the people around you, about circumstances and situations. So tuning into that and really slowing down and recognizing where you're creating stories perhaps that maybe aren't really true. They're simply your interpretation based on maybe a past experience, a belief that you've got, a thought that someone's put into your mind. How often, for example, have you been in a situation where somebody makes a comment to you about somebody else and you suddenly start to look at that person in a different way? And imagine how that can change your whole world. That can change your whole perception of that person, and potentially about previous conversations you've had with them or about the way they're behaving, simply based on one thing that somebody has said to you. And that one thing could have been said in malice. It could have been said in frustration or annoyance. It could be just they're having a bad day, so they've made a comment about somebody else, which actually wasn't warranted. But it's now had you looking at that person in a different way because of what someone said about them. And now you're shifting your thoughts and your beliefs about that person. And actually, all it is based on is somebody's opinion, right? That's how easily we can get impacted by our external factors, other people or circumstances, or even the media, what we're seeing on the internet. All of that can directly and very quickly influence how we view the world and how we view people around us. So you want to really start to slow down and recognize what it is you do, the behaviors that you have around this, and actually how is that actually serving you? How is that helping you in terms of moving forward and experiencing a good, positive, happy life, versus often feeling down, feeling sad, frustrated, angry. Think of all the negative emotions. And if those are coming up based on what's happening around you, then slow down and ask yourself, well, how can I look at this differently? What is a different way of looking at this that creates a positive light on it? So that's just some examples that I'm sharing here of what it means to show up as your best self and the impact it can have, whether positive or detrimental, in terms of where you're coming from. Steve Palmer, hello. Sorry, I just saw that message pop up there. How you doing? So now the next question is, well, how do I do that? And this is the question that came up in conversation with a client yesterday. How do I show up as my best self? I don't know what to do. So I've already touched on a few things in terms of the inner work. So thinking about or becoming aware rather of the thoughts that you're having and the way that you talk to yourself, the beliefs that you have about yourself, about other people, about the world around you. Are they hindering you, or are they thoughts and beliefs that are propelling you forward? What is the language that you tend to use when you're speaking, when you're communicating with yourself and with others? Is it empowering language, or is it language that can bring you down, that's low energy? So that's the starting point. Some other things that you can do to be able to show up as your best self. And they might sound really simple, but it's really easy to forget them. So number one is smile. When you wake up in the morning, smile. Look out the window and remember to express gratitude. This is number two, is practicing gratitude. Because when you recognize what you're grateful for and how much you have to be grateful for, that in itself instinctively will have you feeling better, happier, grateful for everything around you. So practicing gratitude. And that in itself will put a smile on your face when you realize how much you have to be grateful for. Because well, you might be thinking, how is that important? Imagine if you didn't have an awareness of being grateful for what you have got, of even realizing how much you have around you in your own life. It's very easy to spend your life thinking about what you don't have and wanting what other people have got instead of focusing on you. Because it's one thing to be inspired by what other people have or what they've achieved to help to drive you forward. And that's the positive way of looking at it. But if we look at what other people have or what they're doing or achieving and being jealous or envious and then thinking, oh, it's okay for them, then that's coming from a negative place. So slow down to actually focusing on yourself and being grateful for what you really have in your life, because that will put that smile on your face. So that will tick off number one, number two. And then number three is managing your state, managing your energy. So what do I mean by that? I'm not talking about being able to run the marathon. I'm talking about the energy that you show up with. Is it a positive energy, a high energy, or is it kind of, again, that sort of lethargic, low energy, demonstrating apathy, a sort of can't be bothered, don't care kind of approach? Because that energy is what drives people away. You want to be showing up as your best self with energy that attracts other people towards you. Steve Palmer, what are you saying? You're in my pocket. I'm working and on the move. Very good. And tell me, Steve, what are you taking away from this live? Share that in the comments so I can see. So managing your energy is being aware of the level of energy that you show up in. Think about people that you interact with day to day. Which are the people that you are drawn towards, that you want to be around? Are they people that are having a good, positive, happy, or high energy? Or are they people with a lower energy that kind of draws you down? So you want to be managing your state, your energy, so that you can be showing us your best self. A big part of how you do that is, again, tuning into the inner self-talk, the thoughts that you're having. So, for example, it's a Monday morning, you're up at 6 a.m. and it's like, oh, I'm back at work today. Oh my God, da, 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 da. It's raining outside. You're feeling like, oh, the weather's bad. I've got to go to work. I've got this big project on and all of that. And it's like you're draining your own energy by yourself. No one else is doing that. You're doing that. Whereas you might be thinking, well, if that's the situation, how can I look at that any differently? You can change your thoughts. You can change your words. So instead, you can say, it's Monday morning. It's a whole week ahead. It's a new start. There's opportunities around me. It's raining. That's cool, because guess what? I get to dress accordingly. So that's all good. The weather doesn't bother me. And by the way, the trees, the flowers, they get the rain to feed them. That's cool. That helps them to grow, keeps the grass green, all the good stuff, and the benefits of having rain. And I'm going to work, and I'm grateful because I have a job. I have money coming in. And let me look at what I really enjoy about my work. There will be at least one thing, however small it is. So look for the good in things. Think about the thoughts, the words that you're using, and look for the good rather than the negative or the bad in things, in situations, in circumstances, and in people. That in itself will bring up your energy. Also, remember, when I talk about the words and how we speak to ourselves, is you want to come from a place of being strong, powerful, capable, remembering that life is fun. We make it as fun as we choose to, and we get to come from a place of love with people, with other people, and remembering to be kind to other people. So being kind is number 4. Be kind to others, because that in itself will have you showing up as your best self. That's another aspect or attribute of being your best self, is being kind to people, understanding their circumstances, and knowing that we don't always know what's really going on for others, but being kind to them irrespective. The next one's being curious and engaging with others. So showing an interest in others, because people love that. People love people who are interested in them. So showing an interest, asking questions, being curious, how they're doing. Now, not everyone's going to share. Some people are quite private or personal. They won't necessarily share a lot about their private life if you're in the workplace. And that's okay. You'll get to learn and understand that. But actually, even by asking a couple of questions, you'll get to learn about that person, understand how much they want to share. So you know where to draw the line in being curious, but also building some rapport with them, finding out maybe what interests they do have that they're open to talking about. The other thing I'd like to share is the energy that you show up with in terms of your confidence and certainty. And for me, this is probably for another live, and I've done previous lives which have touched on being more confident, having certainty in yourself. But being aware of the level of confidence and certainty you have in yourself and that you exude to the people around you is also a great one in terms of showing up as the best you. Because again, let me invite you to consider, who are the people that you're drawn towards, particularly in the professional life, in the workplace? Is it the people who are exuding more confidence and more certainty in themselves and have some authority about them? Or do you get drawn to people who are lacking that confidence, who are really uncertain about themselves or about their level of knowledge? So have an awareness of that. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be that person who shows up with that confidence and that certainty? And if so, where are you on that scale at the moment? Are you a 10 out of 10? Or is there a gap that you feel you can close? What is it that needs to happen for you to increase your confidence and your certainty in yourself? And I'll give you a clue. The answer to that question lies within you, because a great part of that comes from what you are telling yourself. It comes from your inner talk, the conversations that you have with yourself, whether you pat yourself on the back or you beat yourself up when things occur. Whether you tell yourself that you are enough or that you're not enough, or that you're not good enough. So think about how you're speaking to yourself. What is the conversation you're having with yourself, the language that you're using? And are you bringing yourself up? Are you empowering yourself? Or are you bringing yourself down? Are you putting yourself down, telling yourself that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you don't know enough, that you don't have enough? Whatever it might be, is slow down to that and ask yourself, is that hindering me? Is that holding me back? Or is it helping you to move forward? So these are some suggestions, ideas, recommendations of things that you can do that will help you to grow, to develop, to enhance your confidence, and to show up as your best self. So any questions you have at all, please pop them in the comments. I will come back to you and answer them. If you'd rather DM me, then please feel free to do so, and I will respond to you with any questions you have on this topic. And as always, Steve, sorry, I can just see you're back there. Client needs some information. Very good. Glad you're on point with your clients. That is really important. Customers first and foremost. So as a recap of today, steps to showing up as your best self. I've covered a lot of ground on this, and I've kind of gone off on different tangents. But in summary, slow down. Become aware of you, of how you're showing up, of the lens that you're choosing to view the world through. Is it a positive one? Is it a negative one? What is the energy that you're showing up with? how would you be responding to someone who shows up in the energy that you show up in? Is that an energy that be drawn towards, or is it one that you probably move away from? And then think about, if it's one that you move away from, how are other people responding to you? Is that how you would want people to be around you? And by the way, this isn't about putting on an act for let's say, when you're in front of your clients or customers or your colleagues, and then reverting back to type, because that's still going to have an impact, right? It will then, people will start to see through that as being a little bit fake, a little bit like, that's not their natural self. It's like you're putting on this show and then you're going back into a completely different energy. So you want to build this in a way that it becomes your natural state. And that's why I talk about managing your state. So remember to smile, to practice gratitude. That will put a smile on your face, just recognizing, acknowledging all that you do have in your life. Managing your energy levels and your inner energy as well, in terms of whether it's low energy, whether it's a higher energy, and being kind to others, remembering, that everyone's going through something at some point. So be kind to them no matter what, coming from a place of love. Be curious and engaging with others, show an interest in them, engage, build rapport, and show up with confidence and certainty in yourself and in your abilities. And doing all of this from a place of sincerity and integrity. These are some of the things that will help you to show up as your best self. So as I said, any questions, let me know. And before I dash off, until next time, firstly, number one, head over to my YouTube channel after this. The link will be in the comments shortly. And if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, where you can view previous episodes of my lives on various topics around coaching, personal development, personal growth, career advancement, and much, much more. In addition, there are all the video episodes of my podcast with amazing guests, leaders from the tech industry, who have generously shared their time, their stories, their challenges, and how they've overcome them. So always great golden nuggets that you can gain from listening to those. So do check that out. Please subscribe, share with other people who could benefit from it too. And if you haven't already done so, then do grab your copy of your personal brand playbook. This is something I put together that details what I believe are the 6 core facets of building a strong, powerful personal brand. It explains what they are, why they're important, and how you can develop in those areas yourself. It provides you with a brand audit so you can identify the gaps in terms of where you're at right now and the areas to focus on and develop and improve even more. And it also provides you with best practices that you can go away and implement immediately. So again, that link is also in the comments for you. If you haven't already done so, then do grab your copy below. Until next time, as always, remember to elevate your performance, maximize your potential, and create new possibilities by showing up as the best version of you. Until next time, have a great rest of the week. Take care and see you soon.